Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a founder, an IT executive, or a B2B decision maker operating in India's highly regulated insurance sector, you already know the ground is shifting beneath our feet. We're moving faster than ever into fully digital ecosystems, and in this space, digital trust is literally the foundation of your entire business. So today, we're going to look closely at the absolute critical importance of IRDAI cybersecurity compliance and ISNP audits. We'll be breaking down exactly what these regulatory mandates require of you, and more importantly, how to navigate them effectively.
So here's a somewhat uncomfortable question. Is your digital insurance platform actually legal to operate in India? I know, it's a bit provocative, but it's a question you absolutely cannot afford to ignore. If you're selling or servicing insurance policies online with the proper certified security posture, you are operating in the danger zone. The stakes of these IRDAI mandates are incredibly high. Assuming you're covered just because you set up a basic firewall, that is a massive business risk. To get a clear picture of exactly where you need to be, here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll define what ISNP compliance actually is. Second, we'll look at the real risks of non-compliance. Third, we'll walk through a structured audit action plan. And finally, we'll wrap up with the ROI of security. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1. What is ISNP compliance, and why is it the baseline standard for digital insurance in India? So ISNP stands for Insurance Self-Network Platform. And listen, an ISNP audit is not some optional best practice. It's not a nice-to-have badge you just slap on your homepage. It is a mandatory security assessment directed by the IRDAI. They are actively evaluating your platform's ability to protect incredibly sensitive policyholder data, prevent unauthorized access, and maintain the total integrity of your digital transactions. Bottom line, if you want to sell or service insurance policies via a web portal or a mobile app in India, this certification is a strict prerequisite. Without it, you're simply not allowed to operate. The door is closed.
No, a really common misconception here is that compliance is just a one-and-done checkbox. You build the app, get the certificate, and you're good forever. But actually, scratch that. It is absolutely not the case. At your initial launch, yes, for sure, you must obtain that ISNP certification. But from there, you are required to conduct an annual recurring cybersecurity audit. The IRDI totally gets that cyber threats are constantly evolving. A hacker's tactics change practically overnight. So to ensure your systems remain hardened against these new threats, this continuous life cycle of auditing is legally required.
Let's shift gears to Section 2, the real risks of non-compliance, where we bridge the gap between technical system weaknesses and severe business risks. And this brilliantly illustrates just how stark the reality is. Operating a compliant platform, meaning you actually have IRDA-compliant security controls actively in place, backed by a valid, current ISNP audit report, that gives you total peace of mind. But if you're operating a digital insurance portal without that valid report, you aren't just risking a slap on the wrist or minor fine. You are facing potential regulatory closure. The IRDI can and absolutely will issue show cause notices or even completely revoke your license to operate online. Because if you're operating in that non-compliant space, you're opening the door to a terrifying series of cascading threats. First up, policyholder data exposure. Think about it. Insurance databases contain high-value personal identifiable information, PII, and health records that are absolute goldmines for hackers. Next, insecure third-party integrations. You're probably connecting your platform to payment gateways or third-party administrators, right? Well, without proper security vetting, those connections are wide-open backdoors. Then, as we just mentioned, regulatory penalties and license revocation. But don't forget the reputational damage under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the DPDP. A data breach today leads to massive legal liabilities and a complete loss of user trust. And finally, financial fraud. Weak links allow attackers to divert premium payments or manipulate claim settlements, and that leads directly to devastating financial losses. Okay, take a breath. Section 3, the Audit Action Plan. Let's look at the structured, predictable path to certification. So how do we actually get out of the danger zone? Here is the streamlined roadmap to getting compliant based on end-to-end solutions from specialized firms like Cyber Ambassador. It kicks off with Step 1, scope definition and gap analysis. You have to identify every single asset, app, and API under that ISNP umbrella, and then audit that setup against IRDAI guidelines to spot the missing controls. Step 2 is VAPT testing, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This is a deep dive, simulated attack on your web and mobile platforms to find actively exploitable flaws. Step 3 is configuration and policy review, verifying your firewalls, servers, and internal policies are up to code. Now, Step 4 is absolutely crucial,
remediation support. It's not enough to just point out your flaws. You need technical guidance to actually patch those vulnerabilities and fix the gaps. Finally, step 5 is the final audit, certification, and reporting. A final verification is done, ensuring all IRDAI requirements are met, and boom, you are issued the formal certificate. It's rigorous, for sure, but it's a highly organized path forward.
Now let's move to Section 4, the ROI of security, where we are going to completely flip the script on compliance. Because the crucial point here is this. Compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It is fundamentally about digital trust. Too often, we look at the IRDAI mandate as a tedious regulatory chore, right? Just a box to check off for the auditors. But when you approach it correctly, passing an ISPNP audit is a massive strategic advantage. It signals to the entire market that you take their safety seriously.
When you build that digital trust, the business benefits are immediate and super tangible. First and foremost, it literally secures your legal license to operate. Your business stays alive and compliant. Second, it protects that incredibly sensitive personal and health PII of millions of policyholders with real enterprise-grade security. Plus, it actually shortens your onboarding time with banking partners. By proving your IRDAI's certified security posture up front, you can integrate with financial institutions so much faster. And finally, it enhances internal fraud detection. These in-depth audits catch logic flaws in your applications that could otherwise be exploited for insurance fraud. Good security is just good business.
It all boils down to this core philosophy. In the highly regulated insurance sector, digital trust is non-negotiable. You simply can't build a modern digital insurance ecosystem on a foundation of shaky security. Your customers expect their data to be safe, your partners require it before they'll even talk integration, and the regulators legally demand it. Which leaves us with one final critical question. Will you stop guessing and start securing? Because hope is not a strategy when it comes to cybersecurity. Navigating IRDAI mandates can definitely feel complex, but as we've just seen, moving from non-compliant to fully audit-ready is a clear, highly achievable process when you have the right roadmap. The risk of waiting for a data breach or a regulatory show-cause notice is just way too high. So for the founders, leaders, and decision-makers tuning in today, assess your current posture, lean on the experts, and turn your compliance into your biggest competitive edge. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take that critical next step toward full digital trust today.